I recently attended a 10-day Vipassana silent meditation retreat, and many people have asked me afterwards how it was. And since those conversations have often turned out to be very helpful both to me and to them, and I've seen how people have gotten more insight and appreciated that, I want to share these insights a little bit deeper. So in this video, I'll share the 5 key insights that I gathered during that retreat and share a little bit of my experience as well. So let's first talk about why I attended, because 10 days, no phone, no talking, no music, no writing, no reading, nothing to distract me from the contents of my own mind. I mean, in many ways, it's exactly how it was. I was so bored out of my senses, like this utter terrible boredom. And I remember day 3, I was like, Mika, what on earth have you decided to do? I mean, we've been here for 10 years and it's only getting started. Absolute misery. But the insights I gained during those 10 days have made a big impact in my life. I feel much more peaceful in my everyday relationships and interactions with people. I feel much more in peace with what I do, how I spend my days. I find more enjoyment in little things, and I'm much more able to enjoy nice things when they happen. Also, easier to stay grounded when someone's doing something I don't like. Just overall, life has been very pleasant after the retreat. And I don't think it's only because now I get to talk with people and actually do things I like. So here are the 5 insights that I gained during that time and reflecting on it afterwards. So number 1 is that suffering is created in the mind. And I know this sounds like such a cliche, and all the spiritual gurus and everyone, oh yeah, it's suffering, and it's in the mind, and I don't need to worry about it. But it became very concrete in the retreat, because what we were doing is we were observing our body sensations. And every now and then, for example, in the beginning, it was very painful to sit still for hours on end. And we would have sessions from 1 hour to 2 hours-ish meditation. And that can get very intense and very painful as well. So in the beginning, I would be like, let's say I was feeling pain in the knee, and I was like, oh, this really hurts. And then I would go into this mode of, yeah, I wonder if it's doing something bad for the knee. Maybe it's not really that good for me to do this. Oh, it really hurts. It really hurts. It really hurts. And just this spinning of the suffering wheel going on in the mind. But then as I progressed, I started to really dig deeper into the sensation. Like, how does this actually feel? And I would know that, yeah, okay, it's this throbbing pain right here on the inside of the knee, a little bit of this twisting sensation as well, kind of like a pulling thing, a little bit of heat over there. And as I would observe these things and not react to that with all of that mental worrying and chattering and wanting it to go away, then the weird thing was the pain kind of dissolved into this weird, and I don't know how to describe this without sounding woo-woo, but it kind of dissolved into this, what felt like vibrations all over the area, kind of like an electric current. And this is actually an interesting thing, because we all have sensations everywhere in the body all the time. We're just not aware of them. And once the mind starts quieting down, which it kind of does during the retreat. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like you're going to be spending your days in like full Zen mode. No, I constantly had like a song going in my head. I think I listened to the entire discography of Dream Theater for like 3 times during the retreat, and thought about basically all my relationships and everything through, but meditating at the same time. So I don't want to set any expectations like that. It's not like that. But attention did get more focused. My mind started getting a little bit calmer and not reacting to things so much. And that's when I started realizing that there's this entire field of sensation in the body that I can observe when the mind is sufficiently equanimous, calm, relaxed. So yeah, the pain in the knee would just dissolve and kind of vanish, and it wouldn't be unpleasant anymore. And the interesting thing is the same thing works with mental pain. For example, it was this roller coaster of like day 2. I was like, yeah, I got it, I can do this, I can really do this. I mean, I'll just keep on focusing on the sensations and the breath, and yeah, I can do it, I can do it. Day 3 comes, and I'm like, oh my god, what have I done? This is horrible, absolute misery. Then day 4, I'm like, seventh heaven, this is amazing. And we got to learn the Vipassana meditation technique, where it was not only focusing on the sensations of the breath, but the entire body. And I was like, whoa, there's an entire world that I can discover now. I was super excited, and I was like, I get it, and I get to do this for 6 more days. It's gonna be amazing. And then day 5 comes, and I'm suffering terribly. It's difficult to focus. I cannot reach any kind of mental state that I was in the previous day. Absolute misery. Absolute misery. And this was entirely in my head. Nothing changed on the outside. It was just me and my mind creating this suffering for me. And this leads me to point number 2, which was an outcome of seeing how that roller coaster just kept on playing. Like, I would be super excited about it, like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. And as soon as that happened, my mind would go, yeah, tomorrow's going to be the same, and this is going to be like my new normal from now on. And of course it's not. I have zero influence on how it's going to be the next day, but I had created this expectation in my mind, this clinging to that, like, I want this to happen, or I won't be happy. And then the next day comes, and I'm absolutely miserable because those expectations didn't materialize. And then I would spend the entire day just like, yeah, I want this to go away. I don't want this misery. I want it to go away. And of course, it doesn't work that way, because it's there. It's there. I don't choose when it arises and when it passes. And point number 2 being that everything is temporary. All of these pleasant sensations and these moments of elation and excitement, like, I really got it, this is it, they are all temporary, as well as all the unpleasant things, all the suffering in the mind, all the unpleasant body sensations. They go away all by itself, all by themselves. I don't need to do anything about that. I can just enjoy the show, so to say. And yeah, I noticed that little by little, as the days went on, my mind started relaxing a little bit, and not creating those expectations as much as before. So yeah, I learned that the that yeah, everything that arises also passes. And there's this saying of, this too shall pass. Many people have heard it, and this was something that became quite concrete during the retreat for me. So basically, some like one of the interesting things was related to this, because I was mentioning how I was clinging to those pleasant sensations and wanting those unpleasant, I keep on hitting my mic, unpleasant things to go away, this craving for the good things and aversion for the bad things. And that's a core part of the philosophy of Vipassana and the teachings of the Buddha, where this comes from. That and well, basically all the wisdom traditions have the same thing. Pain or suffering is created through desire and aversion. And it became quite concrete, because I noticed in my body, like, we were doing a lot of body scanning and noticing all the sensations in the body. And as soon as there was a craving, like, I noticed this like tension somewhere in my chest area, when I was like, yeah, I want this to continue. I want this pleasant sensation. I want this. Or, yeah, this food is really tasty. I want more of this. This clinging. And it felt kind of uncomfortable, actually. This sense of, I want something that's not here. I was kind of like, I had made myself an addict of that pleasant sensation. And also when there was something I was not wanting to experience, that aversion, it also, I was feeling it here in the same place, this kind of squeezing in the chest, and this kind of like unpleasant, hard to describe, this kind of like a pushing motion, pushing sensation somewhere over here, this pressure. And that has been, I have adopted that in my everyday life as well. Like, just before starting to shoot this video, for example, I noticed my mind was clinging to the idea that now that I'm talking about Vipassana, I need to really speak from the heart, and it has to be very heartfelt and genuine. And there must not be any mentalization in this talk. And then I took a moment, I was like, okay, I'm noticing this craving here, this clinging over here. Let's see how long it lasts. And I took a moment with it. Didn't quite go away, but I realized I don't really mind that that pain much, or those sensations. It's just body sensations, who cares? And then I just went on and started shooting this video. And that's been something that's become a mental habit, more or less, for me so far. At least when I notice that's going on, and I notice it quite often, how much I am craving things and wanting other things to go away. And this and the craving and aversion and letting go of that and not reacting, it doesn't mean, like I was confused about it originally. It doesn't mean that you're just gonna stop enjoying anything in life and you're just gonna be like, sitting there in the rain and like, I don't really care, It's not like that at all. It's rather that I still enjoy the pleasant thing and I still don't enjoy the uncomfortable thing, but I don't make myself an addict to the pleasant sensations. And I don't condition my happiness to be dependent on not having those unpleasant sensations. So it's like, this very lovely thing is here right now. Let's see how long it lasts. I really like it. What a beautiful thing to have it here now. And when there's something unpleasant, it's like, let's see how long this lasts. It doesn't really feel that uncomfortable in the body anyway. And even if it did, I can't really do anything about it. It's going to be there as long as it is. As long as I don't react to it, it's going to pass. And I can keep on living my life in the meantime. A lot more freedom. Okay, and that leads us to number 3, realization. I care way less about most things than I thought I care. Like, for example, let me think of an example. For example, let's say there's a person and I'm thinking about the person and wondering what does that person think about me, and my mind would go like, yeah, it's really important that the person like me. And then I check the body and there's nothing there, like no change whatsoever. I'm like, okay, turns out I honestly don't care at all what the person thinks about me. Or let's say there's a shirt that I really like. I've been interested in clothing and fashion and accessories lately. And let's say there's a shirt that I really enjoy, and I would go. And first I go like, I really want that shirt, and it's really important that I get it. That's the mind talking. Then I check the body, and I'm like, not much there. Really, it doesn't really make any impact in my happiness. I can get it if I want to and if I can afford it, but if I don't, not gonna change a single thing in my life. And at the same time, there are some things that really cause a big reaction in my body. For example, I just had a chat with my friend who had recently gotten a baby, and she was telling me how she was taking care of the baby in the night, waking up with this joy of just contributing to another person like that. And I found my body just reacting to that. Like I felt moved and I felt tender and there was this very tender longing in me, and that became also very apparent that other things, relationships, family, those things matter way more than I've thought they would. Okay, then number 4, and that's the realization of no self. And this is definitely, like, it sounds like something out there, but for the longest time I've been curious about. In meditation, there's these certain insights that people tend to get over the course of their progress in meditation. Um, Everything is temporary is one of those, and that became a little bit of an internalized thing to an extent. I mean, it's not like on or off switch, but rather it's a continuum. And I started to get it a little bit. And then there's another realization of no self. Like, there is no self in the middle of your experience. And many people have said that it's one of the most liberating experiences you can have as a person, to realize that you don't exist, which sounds crazy. Like, of course I exist. I'm right here. But there was this moment in meditation where I was just utterly existentially bored out of my senses. And I was like, how on earth could Siddhartha Gautama sit for days on end, the Buddha, who realized that observing the body sensations was actually a very efficient way to notice and get rid of desire and aversion, and hence reach enlightenment. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, now I remember. So I was utterly bored, and I felt like there has to be a way to make this more interesting for me. So what I came up with, I started narrating the experience as a supportive thing to help me keep focused on my body sensations and also what the mind was doing. So kind of like the hockey commentator, I would go like, okay, the heart is beating faster now, and there's a squeeze in the chest area. It's releasing. Let's see what legs are doing right now. Okay, there's a pleasant tingling around the calves in both legs, and it's spreading. Okay, now it's there in the thighs as well. The entire legs are tingling. Okay, now the mind is saying, oh, this is very nice. I'm getting the hang of it. Let's see how long this lasts. And in this way, I would just keep narrating on my experience, and very quickly I realized that when I was observing the sensations in the body, I realized it doesn't really make sense for me to describe those sensations as my own. And equally so, it doesn't make any sense to describe the mind as my own, because I was being the observer. I was being the hockey commentator. And these processes of the mind coming up with thoughts and ideas and feelings or emotions and all of these things, and the body creating all of these sensations, and those just kept popping up. I had zero control over what was coming up. Like, there's zero. I had absolutely no control over either of those processes. Like, I didn't decide what thought would pop up. I didn't decide which sensation would pop up. I could just observe the whole shebang, And then I realized that, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. I don't really exist. It's like this Mika it's an illusion. Like what's going on over here? It's a mix. It's a collection of processes that I don't really have much control over. I can just witness it, and maybe set some intentions, like, okay, now I'm intending to observe the breath, and in the next moment it's more likely that I might be observing the breath, or the mind will be observing the breath. And I realized that in that moment, if there was someone who barged in and started shouting at me like, you Mika, you're such a bastard, you're such an idiot, and you this one thing, you're such an idiot, and you this other thing that's terrible, and this third thing as well, and like, how could you do those things? How bad of a person you must be, and I checked in with myself, and I wonder, like, how would I feel about that? Like, of course, the body probably would have some sort of like squeezing sensations for a while, and the mind might start spinning some stories. but they would pass very quickly without leaving any kind of trace behind. No story, no thought, no sensation, nothing whatsoever, because I wasn't reacting to those things. And it felt as if someone was trying to destroy a laser beam by throwing rocks at it. It would flicker, but afterwards it would be exactly the same just before, because there was nothing to hit. And this was very liberating for me to realize that I don't really exist. Like this thing I call Mika it's a construct. It's like an illusion. Underneath there's processes that me as this consciousness has no control whatsoever over, and I can just observe it as it unfolds. And this has become a very practical thing for me. And don't get me wrong, I don't get this every time, and I'm not in a state where I'm constantly like in this not identifying with my thoughts and sensations. Not at all, but to an extent. Sometimes I realize this. For example, I was in CrossFit and I was wondering about, like, how does this snatch actually work and what should I do? And I was getting a little bit riled up about it, like, why is this snatch not working? And then I realized, like, oh wait, I don't need to do a thing. My mind already knows what to do. My body already knows what to do. I can just keep on observing. And then I was like, okay, so it turns out it grabs the bar like that. Oh, it turns out it lifts the bar like this. And turns out it feels like this when it's up there. And it was very easy. Very easy. I didn't do I didn't do a thing. Mm, and yeah, so that was a big thing. That I don't exist. Sounds sounds weird to say that. But on the level of experience, that that thing was a big thing, and it kind of makes sense when you think about it that way. And then number 5, and this was the biggest thing for me, like, and the biggest breakthrough, because for the longest time I felt like there was some breakthrough growth about to happen in me, but it just didn't. And I tried many things, but just didn't get there. And I was feeling kind of like somehow in place in an uncomfortable way, and not really evolving and not really growing, and getting the same tensions and same anxieties and same issues with my relationships and with my relationship with myself and in the business, and just stuck. And then the final day of the meditation retreat, the final meditation before the silence was broken or ended, that's when I had an epiphany. And there had been a discourse, a lecture by the teacher, where he was sharing about how he wants people to donate if people donate, and this whole thing is completely voluntary and completely based on donations. So someone else had already paid for my experience in the retreat, which is insane, super nice. And he was sharing how he wants people to donate not because they want to feed their ego, like, yeah, I'm an important person when I give so much money, nor did he want people to contribute out of a sense of guilt or obligation, but only from an energy of contribution, because you've felt something and you've experienced something meaningful, and you've gotten a lot out of it that helps you in your everyday life, and you're grateful and you want other people to experience that as well. And that's what he was talking about when I noticed there was tremendous anger rising in me. And I was like, this is strange. Like, this thing he had been talking about is very much aligned with my values. But where does this anger come from? And I'm getting the shivers just talking about it. But I remember how I then started observing those sensations in the body, and I realized, okay, so this is anger, and this is how it's like. And then I realized that there was this image popped into my mind. It was part of my self-image, this kind of a image of myself as a wealthy, successful entrepreneur who gives freely and is very well off financially. And then I realized that in this moment, I don't want to act according to that image that I have been trying to uphold to others, because I wasn't that well off financially, and I'm not that well off financially as the image would dictate. And I want to donate less than I would have preferred to if I had more financial freedom. And then I realized, and the hockey commenter in my head also went soft, and he was like, "Okay, let's now quiet down." As this organism, this process is realizing how much misery he's been causing to himself, and I realized that I had gone through this exact misery every day, pretty much every day for the past like 10 years. This misery of, I want to be this successful, wealthy entrepreneur, and then not having those financial means. And I had been causing this misery all over and over and over and over again. And I just noticed there was this tremendous grief rising to the surface. The tears started running, and I just felt tender inside, just thinking about how much suffering I had gone through because of that itch. And then, as I was observing the grief coming and going, ebbing and flowing, I realized that I noticed there was also gratitude coming to the surface as the mind was realizing that this image also had been very helpful in my life. It had been pushing me to do things I wouldn't have done otherwise, and tried things I wouldn't have otherwise, and going to the zone of discomfort, and it had been very helpful in my life, but now it wasn't needed anymore. And this image popped into my head of me putting roses on the grave of that image, and I started distancing myself from it and just leaving it gracefully be. And then all of a sudden it's just clicked in my mind. My mind clicked into like a different position, and I just realized, like, yeah, I guess I'm not that. Like, this image, it's not real. It's never been real. And I'm not saying about like the financial resources or anything, but like this image had been entirely the product of my own mind. It's nothing that exists anywhere outside the mind. And I just started laughing my ass off about the futility of all that suffering that I had been going through for the longest time. And at this point, meditation had already stopped, and I had the silence was broken, and I had taken a little bit of time to go to the beach, sit down underneath a tree, and I had this space where I could just experience by myself. And I was just laughing with tears in my eyes about the ridiculousness of the entire thing. And then I observed that for a while. Then it passed, and this gratitude came to the surface of how big of a thing this realization really was for me, and how much lighter I've felt ever since. And I was observing, or how much lighter I felt at that point, and how I was imagining this will change a lot of things for the better in my life, and I can act more according to my actual values and the realities of what I do and how I'm like. And then the gratitude, little by little, started going away, replaced by this curiosity to just talk with others and share things and just connect and have fun. And that became a huge change for me. And afterwards, I've noticed that ever since ever since that happened, whenever the topic of money would come up, or there would be something I would like to attend, but I can't really afford it. Whereas in the past I would feel this pressure and this shame about it. Now I just feel maybe a little bit of sadness about not being able to do the things, but really just this freedom, way more freedom about it. And I do feel that this image is still a little bit there, but it's loosening its hold quite a bit. And I'm really excited to examine other parts of my self-image that I have been upholding for the longest time, and seeing how much those have been restricting me, and how much those are limiting me, and how much I could, what's the word, let go of those images, to see how much that would change. Yeah. So those were the 5 insights that I got. And the interesting thing about Vipassana is it's really the same conclusion as every wisdom tradition everywhere ever that has any merit to it. The realization was that when those attachments and craving and aversion, worldly desire, all of these things are stripped away, and the mind is not reacting to things anymore, then what is left is this natural desire to contribute. It's the most natural thing, and I can't honestly think of anything that I would enjoy more than doing something for the good of others, because that just makes me feel so good. And that's what motivated, well, that was a big part of what motivated me to do this video. And of course, I also wanted to have these insights like an encapsulated form for later remembering. But really, I wanted to share these things because I feel like they can help a lot of people, and they can give many people curiosity, insights about their own experience as a human being. Yeah, so it turns out we people just really want to do good for others, and that's what is the most rewarding thing we can imagine doing. Which is funny, because that's not the view that's portrayed in the media, and that's not the view or the way most of us seem to behave. And I do see it very concretely that we are suffering greatly for this lack of understanding. This is a really crucial part of human being, and how we really just like to contribute. Yeah, so did I get enlightened in 10 days? Absolutely not. I still get carried away with negativity and craving and aversion, and oftentimes I find myself in self-blame. But it has helped me quite a bit to let go of it and feel way more free in my everyday life. And yeah, and I'm also finding myself enjoying meditation for the first time like ever, for longer periods of time. And I try to meditate from 1 to 2 hours a day. They recommend in the course that we keep to 2 hours per day, 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. And yeah, sometimes I even do that. And oftentimes it's actually very enjoyable. And that's been also very nice to notice, because after I've meditated, I always feel better. Which is not the point, but it's a lovely side effect. So yeah, I hope this helps. And if you're curious about attending a Vipassana retreat as well, they're organized all over the world. It's completely free, voluntary based, and of course you can donate if you want after the course. But that's for you to decide then. And I would recommend this to, well, I see anyone could benefit from this. And this is a very universal thing. There's no belief, no dogma, no religion, nothing like that. It's just like, hey, we have this technique. It's proven to help countless people, hundreds of thousands, millions of people over the course of millennia. And we think you might really dig it, and come see for yourself if it works for you. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, change something so it does. Simple as that. So if you are curious to develop yourself, or find a little bit more peace, and you're willing to go through those very uncomfortable experiences of boredom and mental chatter and pain and all of that, and it sounds like a good idea to you, then by all means do it. I'm gonna link the I think it's gonna be down there, the description, so that you can check the website for yourself. Hope this helps, and yeah, enjoy your time. Remember what you do. Hope you're doing well.